My project has been about exploring a very old physical effect called the idiomotor response. This is something that's been known about for hundreds and hundreds of years. The ancients thought that it was a way of talking to the gods. The Victorians thought that it was a way of talking to spirits. And it's this reaction that you get if you do something like hold a pendulum or use a Ouija board, where you can make things move just by thinking about moving them. In fact, what's happening is your muscles are moving just tiny amounts that are imperceptible to you, but enough to move the object. And it's a very magical, mysterious feeling. And it's that particular feeling that I wanted to build on. IdeoBird is a mind-reading robot pet that listens to the small muscle movements in your hand and can use those to determine what you're thinking about, what choice you might have made, and IdeoBird will make quite shouty noises based on whether she thinks you're right or wrong. So the way I came up with the idea of IdeoBird, I think, was the coming together of lots of different interests. A fascination with idiomotor response and as a mysterious feeling, research into the modern cognitive science explanation of how idiomotor response works, but also an interest in birds as fortune tellers and as messengers of the gods, and a history of automata, bird automata. So there's always been this magical nature of birds. I was interested in becoming Watershed's magician in residence because I had a very specific project that I wanted to work on. I knew that I didn't have the technical skills to make it myself, but I knew if I was with a bunch of creative practitioners, I could develop.
So with Stuart, we've been using really small little onboard sensors that measure things like accelerometer and a magnetometer, just to kind of try and determine people's micro movements.
Idiomotor response is a subconscious response, but we thought, what if we take it and make it a conscious skill? So we devised a way of measuring what we call people's idiomotor quotient. And we discovered that different people have different abilities at being able to make this happen with different interfaces. So we put a value to it. So WouijaBird came out of that. So instead of just measuring idiomotor response, WouijaBird measures your capability, your ability to be good at idiomotor response.
So we're aiming to capture idiomotor response because it's a really nice way of getting hold of people's kind of subtle thoughts through muscle movement. So if we can capture that kind of thing, it's great for the magicians, but it's also really exciting from a novel interfaces point of view.
Being commissioned by the Watershed and the University of Bristol to do this research has changed my practice in a number of ways. In terms of the way I produce things, I'm much more open to collaborations. I enjoy jumping off on other people's ideas about my work. Also, I tend to think as a performer, always in terms of performing something myself, not in terms of making an object that can stand alone by itself. I've relaxed that a bit, and I'm now moving to the idea of being able to make things that are magical in themselves without me being there, which is quite tricky, taking myself out of the picture as a performer. But that's a quite interesting change to my practice.
I'm really hoping that we'll be able to kind of continue to use magic in interfaces, because I think magic and interfaces is quite an interesting and novel area to keep exploring. So I'm hoping that kind of Stuart will work with us to keep driving that forwards.
I have some specific plans for the future. I want to take these objects and put them in front of different practitioners to have them help me develop them. So there's a plan to put them in front of performers, see what they do with them, to take them to game designers in Finland for residency there and have them develop them as games, and then also to enter them into the World Championships of Magic and see if I can perhaps win in the innovation category.